In the world of global economics, few things are as pivotal as the US dollar. It's the backbone of trade, the dominant currency in foreign exchanges, and the world's reserve currency. For decades, the stability of the US dollar has been a key factor in shaping not only America's economy, but also global financial systems. But lately, former President Donald Trump has thrown a wrench into this delicate balance. In recent statements, Trump has once again stirred the pot with his plans to impose tariffs on some of the world's largest emerging markets and the countries that make up the BRICS alliance: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. His moves and threats regarding tariffs on these nations have caused confusion and concern among economists, financial experts, and global leaders alike. What's even more alarming, however, is that Trump's actions could be damaging the very thing he claims to be protecting: the US dollar. In this video, we'll break down why Trump's economic blunders are not just impractical, but also highly risky. From threatening massive tariffs on major global players to trying to push a weak dollar policy to boost trade deficits, Trump's rhetoric is more than just noise. It's a real threat to the stability of the U.S. economy and the value of the dollar, and it risks creating economic chaos that could have long-term consequences for Americans and the global financial system. The U.S. dollar, a pillar of global trade and finance. Before diving into the specifics of Trump's economic proposals, it's important to understand why the U.S. dollar is so crucial to the global economy. The US dollar is more than just the currency of the United States. It serves as the de facto global currency. Over 90% of all foreign exchange trading involves the US dollar, which means that in nearly every currency exchange transaction, the dollar is involved in some capacity. This is known as the liquidity and dominance of the dollar. On a global scale, the US dollar plays a critical role in stabilizing the world's financial markets. The dollar is used in the majority of international trade, and countries around the world hold US dollars in their central bank reserves as a safeguard against economic instability. Currently, the US dollar accounts for about 60% of global reserves, with countries like China, Japan, and members of the European Union holding significant amounts. This dominance is not just a result of American power, but also due to the relative stability, trust, and liquidity that the dollar offers. Investors, governments, and corporations choose the dollar for its predictable value, its backing by the U.S. government, and the ease of converting it into goods or services across borders. Donald Trump's weak dollar strategy. One of Donald Trump's key economic positions during his time in office, and continuing to this day, is his advocacy for a weak dollar policy. In his view, a weaker dollar makes American exports more attractive to foreign buyers, thus reducing the trade deficit. The thinking here is that if the dollar is cheaper compared to other currencies, American goods and services become less expensive, and international buyers are more likely to purchase them. This, in theory, should help reduce the trade deficit and bring more jobs back to America. However, this thinking oversimplifies the complexities of global economics. While a weaker dollar can indeed make American goods cheaper abroad, it also has significant downsides. A weaker dollar means that imports to the United States become more expensive, leading to inflation. Consumers feel the pinch as prices rise on imported goods, including many products that American companies depend on for production. Additionally, American citizens who travel or invest abroad would find that their dollars go much less far, leading to a reduced standard of living for many. Furthermore, a weak dollar puts the U.S. economy at risk in global markets. The value of the dollar is central to global financial systems, and destabilizing it could have far-reaching consequences. Trump's desire for a weak dollar seems more focused on short-term political gains, such as boosting American exports, while ignoring the long-term effects it could have on the financial stability of the United States. The BRICS alliance, a growing economic power. The BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, represent a significant portion of the global economy. Together, these countries account for roughly 25% of global GDP, making them a formidable force in the world economy. The BRICS countries are also home to nearly 40% of global currency reserves. While the US dollar remains the dominant global currency, the BRICS countries have made moves in recent years to diversify their economic relationships and reduce their reliance on the dollar. For instance, China and Russia have been leading efforts to create alternative trade and currency systems outside of the US-dominated financial system. These efforts are not necessarily aimed at completely replacing the US dollar, but at reducing their vulnerability to US economic and political influence. In 2018, the BRICS nations even proposed the creation of a new reserve currency that would be based on a basket of currencies from the BRICS countries, similar to the International Monetary Fund's special drawing rights, SDR. Trump's rhetoric about imposing tariffs on the BRICS countries is misguided and short-sighted. By targeting these nations with punitive tariffs, he risks alienating key economic partners that American businesses rely on for market access and growth. These nations are not only important trading partners, but also crucial players in the emerging global economy. Trump's proposed tariffs, a recipe for economic chaos. Donald Trump's recent remarks about imposing a 100% tariff on the BRICS countries, should they attempt to reduce their reliance on the US dollar, are deeply troubling. In theory, Trump believes that this aggressive trade tactic will force these countries to back down and continue using the dollar in their transactions. However, this move is far more likely to backfire than to succeed. First, it's important to understand that the BRICS nations have been working to reduce their dependence on the dollar for years. This is not a new development. For instance, China has been actively promoting the use of the Chinese yuan in international trade, and Russia has been seeking ways to conduct trade in rubles or other non-dollar currencies. While they have not succeeded in creating a direct challenge to the dollar's dominance, they have made inroads in international markets. By threatening to impose such steep tariffs, Trump is not just angering the BRICS nations. He is also sending a message to the rest of the world that the United States is willing to use its economic power recklessly and unpredictably. This kind of uncertainty can drive investors away from the dollar and create instability in global financial markets. The dangers of volatility in global markets. One of the things that Donald Trump seems to misunderstand is that the global economy thrives on stability. A stable dollar, low inflation, and predictable trade policies are essential for businesses to plan, invest, and grow. However, under Trump's leadership, the United States has seen an erosion of that stability. Trump's willingness to leverage tariffs and his erratic trade policies have created volatility in markets. And while volatility may benefit certain traders and investors on Wall Street who make money off the fluctuating markets, it harms the average American. Rising prices, supply chain disruptions, and uncertainty about future policy create a difficult environment for consumers and businesses alike. The idea that volatility is a good thing for the American economy is a fundamental misunderstanding of economic principles. While traders may profit from short-term swings in the market, most Americans would prefer a stable economy where jobs are secure, inflation is under control, and they don't have to worry about the value of the dollar plummeting because of political whims. The global impact. Is Trump unwittingly creating a new world order? Trump's economic policies risk not only destabilizing the U.S. economy, but also the broader global economy. By targeting the BRICS nations, Trump is pushing these countries to find alternatives to the US dollar. As these nations increasingly work together to develop their own economic systems, they could eventually pose a real challenge to the US dollar's dominance. For example, if China, Russia, India, and Brazil successfully create a new currency system that can rival the dollar, it could have major consequences for the global financial system. If the world begins to trade more in a BRICS-backed currency or in a basket of currencies rather than the dollar, the U.S. could lose its privileged position in global trade. This would lead to higher borrowing costs for the U.S. government, increased inflation, and a devaluation of the dollar, ultimately hurting American consumers and businesses. Donald Trump's economic blunders, particularly his threats to impose tariffs on the BRICS countries and his preference for a weak dollar, are putting the U.S. economy at serious risk. By using the dollar as a political tool to push his trade agenda, Trump is undermining the very thing that makes the dollar so powerful, its stability. The U.S. dollar's role as the global reserve currency is not guaranteed, and any attempt to destabilize it for short-term political gains could have long-lasting consequences. The volatility that Trump is fostering benefits traders on Wall Street, but hurts everyday Americans. It's crucial for the U.S. to maintain its position as a leader in global trade, but this requires a thoughtful, stable, and consistent approach to foreign policy and economic strategy.